going on, everybody? Again, I told y'all I had some amazing guests. So first of all, thank you for watching our virtual book launch of Black Conscious Christianity. Another one of my great guests, man, probably the one I like the most, is my wife, Erin Robinson. Many of you already know her. Just like all the other guests, man, I've invited them on. They have a lot of different things going on. And before we actually get into the book, I want to give her an opportunity just to kind of introduce herself, let her know some of the things she has going on. But let me say this, two of my most prominent books were published by her. And I'll say this, most people, when they self-publish a book, you can tell by the quality that it was self-published. But when people see this book, when they see the books that have been published by Erin, by my wife, the quality is extraordinary. So again, I'm not going to talk about it. I want to give her an opportunity just to kind of introduce herself and tell you guys what she got going on. So Erin, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Shoot, I don't know, what do I call you, Dr. Michael Babe, for having me on tonight. It's definitely an honor and privilege to be a part of this book launch. I personally got to watch you walk through this progress and process to become a doctor, and so to see it come to fruition and have the ability to actually publish the book has been a great honor and privilege, so I thank you. One of the things I got coming up in 2021 is EMR Productions, with simply Erin Marie Robinson. If you have issues or just knowing where to get started or want to publish your book, I'm here to help you get started in the self-publishing process. If there's a graphic design, website design, I have 13 years of website experience. Just something, if it's just workflow, finances, I'm a jack of all trades and I'm beginning to master so many. So I'm just excited about what 2021 holds. I have helped people so much, but now I think it's time for me to get my stuff off the ground.
Yeah, I told you guys, listen, this group of people I got helping me on this book launch are amazing individuals. And my wife is not short of meeting those standards. And she did not say she just actually graduated with her master's in theological studies. So I'm proud of you as well for the journey that you've taken. So, all right, y'all, let's get into the book. Let's discuss Black Conscious Christianity.
All right, so my charge is to talk about or let's dive into chapter 3. So, Michael, in chapter 3, you use 3 different perspectives. Can you explain their significance in the book?
Definitely. So the book is evolved from my dissertation. So, platform and the foundation of the dissertation was based on 3 perspectives. That's a biblical perspective, a theological perspective, and a historical perspective. So if I just kind of give some details on that. So the biblical perspective of the book is based on 1 Peter 3:15, right? That's the main scripture. And it's a kind of an evangelistic, apologetic type scripture. So that kind of leads right into the book, really digging into that scripture. I was married to that scripture for the last 3 years. So once you read the book, you'll kind of see some of the work that I did with that. And then from a theological perspective, right? Theology is simple. Theology is just the study of God, talking about God, right? Digging into it, seeing that really the two aren't the same. Biblical and theological aren't the same. We can talk God without even mentioning the Bible, right? So we're looking at theology from the perspective of Black theology, right? So again, when you get into the book, it's some great things. And finally, it's a historical lens. As far as looking at the history of Christianity, not only the history of Christianity, but even the way churches teach the history of Christianity. All that works together in the book to present this idea of Black theology and Black country Christianity to make it make sense on the level for everybody.
Oh, that's interesting. Yes, just graduating, I'm very familiar with those 3 different historical, biblical, and theological perspectives. So let me be honest, I have not read the book yet. I said that even though I published it, that I was going to walk through. So I'm really excited about the class and the dialogue and the discussion that we're going to have. So can you begin to talk a little bit more about your exploration of the different commentaries that you referenced in the book?
Definitely. So a big thing about the biblical section, you'll notice that I read several different commentaries from traditional to non-traditional, which by that I mean like from a white male perspective to a white female perspective to a black female perspective to a black male perspective. And what you'll notice is that commentaries are simply a person's comments concerning the text, right? A person's comments. So when you look at these different commentaries, you can see, how can I say this, like a person's own personality coming out in the way they see a text, their social location, their background, their gender, all these different things play a part in the way they interpret the text. So when you look at the commentaries from these different perspectives, you can kind of see a twist on the way things are given. And I think that one of the things I want to show in that is that it demonstrates that we need more African-American scholars writing books, writing commentaries, because our perspective is just as important. Notice I label them as traditional and non-traditional. That's because in our Eurocentric society, right, everything that's white male driven is considered traditional, right? That's considered normal. Anything else is other. Well, I want to push the envelope and suggest that a black male perspective, a female perspective, all those are just as normal, right? That we have to expand our thinking. So again, we really want to I really want to show you in the book how those different perspectives and the commentaries, it shows what's lacking and what's needed in certain areas, if that makes sense.
It does. So let me ask you this though as a follow-up question. So being that, you know, traditional versus non-traditional, how difficult was it for you to even find commentaries written from a black male's perspective or even possibly a black female's perspective?
That's an extraordinary question, right? And it took a lot of work. They're not very accessible. There's not a plethora of different non-traditional commentaries out there. Now, there are a lot of maybe female perspectives, but the black male perspective is very limited, right? The good thing though is like right now there's a push and there are several different people that are working on commentaries, black men, black females that are working on commentaries coming together. There's a commentary called Stony the Road We Trod. It's a compilation of several different black scholars. They're doing a volume 2 of that book, which I'm very excited about. So again, yeah, that's a great question. Unfortunately, at this current time, finding non-traditional commentaries are a little difficult.
So in the appendix or whatever, you know, can you locate some of those so that somebody can have some references on some of the information that you did?
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely in the book, we actually chose to, at the end of the book, I actually put my dissertation in the book, at least a proposal of my dissertation. So not only do you get to read the book, but once you read the book, then you get to kind of walk through the process and my journey over the, 2.5, 3 years of putting all this together, presenting my information and actually getting approved to do the book. So all the resources, everything is right there in the book. So every book I read, you'll be able to find it and kind of use those as resources on your own.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's move on to the next question. I noticed while I was proofing and reading that you used a lot of James Cone in your chapter 3. So can you talk about how much he influenced your work?
Yeah, so Dr. James Cone, I mean, is the father of Black liberation theology, right? When it comes to that, we give homage to him, right? All honor. So what was a difficult process, those of you who've been through the doctoral process, one of the things that you have to evolve to is that you move into the realm of being considered an expert, right? So typically through my undergrad, my master's, I'm looking at all these people and I'm gleaning from them and learning from them. But at this level, the knowledge that I have is equivalent to them. So I'm reading Dr. Cone differently, right? I still love everything he does. But where I found myself having a difficulty is as a scholar myself, pushing back against somebody that I've idolized, right? So one thing that I push against Dr. Cone is that everything that he presents is kind of couched in the African-American experience, right? The Jim Crow South, Civil Rights era, all those things really influences his view of theology. right? But one of the things you notice in my book is that I don't like to focus on just the African American experience, because ultimately, if that is your reference point for Christianity, is the slave trade, post-slavery, civil rights, then Christianity has a very checkered past, right? And a lot of Black people are looking at that like, okay, how can I be in this religion when this religion was used to enslave me? This religion was used to dehumanize me, right? So I don't like to start there, right? We want to go all the way back off of the shores of America onto the shores of Africa and really see the origins of Christianity, right? So starting my reference point back further. So what I'm saying is I'm pushing Cone's work back in time so they can really be kind of developed from an African perspective, a true Black man's or Black person's perspective, right? And that gives us kind of my platform for the book titled Black Conscious Christianity, because we need to be awakened to the fact that Christianity did not start during slavery.
Yeah, and so what I hear you say then is that what this book will allow you to do, and where you push back on Cone, which then separates you into your doctoral field, is that now this becomes an apologetic for those millennials per se that are in this century or this area that push back on the normalization of slavery and Black Christianity. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And I love the way you said that, the normalization, because that's what's happened, again, because we're in a Eurocentric society, right? So the Christianity is presented in a way that, oh yeah, I mean, it was used to make docile slaves. It was used to oppress people, but no big deal. Like, that's the way it's presented because they're the one telling the story, right? I keep using the analogy of Christopher Columbus, right? Oh yeah, Christopher Columbus was a hero as long as they were the ones telling the story. But when we are awakened and our consciousness is connected to the true history, we learn that Christopher Columbus wasn't a good guy at all. Same thing when we learn Christianity, and Christianity being entrenched in white supremacy and being a part of slavery and oppression. Yeah, that's true within that specific section. But if you look further than that, that is not what Christianity is. We see Christianity being misused in America. But what we have, the Americanized Christianity, isn't really true Christianity.
So if you had one goal with this book, what would it be with respect to just the enlightenment of where the origination of Christianity is?
Absolutely. If you guys have been watching, right, I love this question because in the book, I utilize the Lion King, right? And I've explained this. There's a scene in the Lion King where Simba is struggling with his destiny, right? And he can't move forward to what he's supposed to be because he's refusing to address his past until he meets Rafiki, right, the baboon. And this baboon causes Simba to look back at his past, right? And once he confronts his past, it then prepares him to move forward into his destiny. So to me, the overall goal of this book is to be the Rafiki of Black Christianity, right? To be what makes us confront the history, our lineage, right? Because for us to become, we first have to understand what we've been.
That's good. That's good. All right, let's move on to the fourth and final question I have for tonight. Being that one of the perspectives you use is history, how important is history as it relates to Christianity?
Kind of in the same lines that I've explained, history is critical when it comes to Christianity, because depending upon what place what section or time frame in history you place Christianity, it impacts your perspective of Christianity. Again, if I only see Christianity as the white slave masters worshiping God while they're rounding up slaves, if I see the slave masters beating their slaves while praying to God, like if that's where I see Christianity at that particular time in history, then I don't have a good view of Christianity. But if I could take you back in history where Christianity was being developed on the continent of Africa, that if I told you see, this is the funny thing. People think God FedExed or UPS the Bible to us, and it just came.
Uh-huh.
Christianity came in a bowl. We unwrapped it. We got Christianity. But the fact of the matter is that the early church, they didn't know nothing, right? They just found out about Christ. They were just learning about him. Who is he? What is he? Is he God? Is he man? Is he trying to figure this stuff out? And if you've been through any kind of seminary, learning about that, the different councils and things that were put together to really figure out what the church was going to believe about Christ. You'll hear many people say that that was a kind of a white way of designing what Christianity was going to be, but it's quite the opposite. If we really look at the history of Christianity, those early scholars, like the original theologians, I talk about in the book, the Black church fathers, the African church fathers, they really developed Christianity. They were the leading voices. So what we know, many of the things that we know as Christianity right now were developed in the minds of some very smart, educated Africans way back then. So to know that history, it allows, again, us as Black people now to know that we were in the story of Christianity. We weren't just objects being moved around, but we were subjects, right? We're subjects in the history of Christianity, and not just objects, right? That's a big thing. So again, history is important. The more history we know, the more we understand the Bible, the more we understand God, the better we have a relationship with him, and stay in touch, again, with this intersection between Blackness and Christianity.
Thank you so much. I know for a fact that when I was in church history 1 and 2, learning about some of these very people that you're talking about, had no idea that they were Black because there's no pictures of them.
Right.
So, and the perspective that it's taught from does not teach from perspective, oh, here you got such and such, and here you got such and such. But the assumption is that they're white.
Yeah, absolutely true. I mean, I got a degree in ministry, the practical theology, all through that stuff. I learned about the church fathers, but I had no idea they were African until I took a Black church history course, right? So again, that's why it's so important for us to be able to see things and be taught, have educators, scholars, writers that write from an African perspective or a Black perspective, without a doubt.
All right. Well, that's all our questions I have for you tonight. Once again, congratulations. Black Conscious Christianity. Pick it up right now. MichaelRobinsonMinistries.com.
That's it. Again, remember, right now, as you're looking, it's available everywhere. But we're asking that you guys will purchase the book from us directly. You can get your autographed copy and at a discounted price. Just go to MichaelRobinsonMinistry.com, MichaelRobinsonMinistries.com, and get the book. I promise you that it's going to be a blessing. Don't just get one, get a bunch so that you can bless somebody for Christmas. Again, thank you guys. We got a little bit more. Don't tune away. So join us right back here in just a few seconds for my next guest.